Welcome to Expedient Means with Lin Wei on Time Monk Radio. Lin currently resides in China and is the founder and head teacher of Guizhen Philo-Cultural Society. His extensive experience in Buddhist and Taoist meditation, Qigong, martial arts, and traditional Chinese medicine. To learn more about Lin, please visit his website at www.guizhenhui.net. Tonight, Lin will be discussing reciprocation. And welcome back, Lin.
Hey now.
So reciprocation, give a little, get a little?
Pretty much.
All right, so reciprocation. This is something we don't see a lot of in today's society anymore. Is that an accurate statement?
Actually, no. We actually give a lot in terms of someone gives us something we don't like, we give something they don't like right back. Pretty much.
You threw a curveball at me that time. I'm pretty impressed.
I haven't given you a curveball at all since we started our recordings in a year and a half.
Actually, every show's a curveball.
Oh. I guess I'm not listening.
All right, so reciprocation. How does this relate to
everything?
Yeah, it's pretty much everything, isn't it?
Pretty much. I mean, everything we do is a give and take. Without having to put those words out again, give and take, everything we do, okay, magnifies itself. So if we'll just put it to the most obvious for most people, feelings, emotion. They feel good today, everything around them feels good. They feel bad today, everything around them feels bad. They feel good today and someone does something ridiculous to them, and then either they continue feeling good and just don't even entertain what happens, or they feed what makes them feel terrible, and there you go. They just give and take the good and the bad. Okay? It happens all the time, every day, every moment. Your brain is like this receiver, and it's this transmitter of electrical waves. It's bzz, 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 always buzzing. And whatever you tell yourself, whatever you touch, whatever you sense with the six senses will attract and repel whatever is going to be experienced in your life.
So it seems like most people are hung up on, maybe I shouldn't say most people, but it certainly seems that way. Most people seem to be hung up on getting or taking much more than giving, right?
Because it's pleasurable. It makes you feel like you're on the right path when you get something that is good. When you get something that makes you feel happy, you think, well, it must be right. So I'm going to keep trying to get it. Like those people who supposedly the myth is they do cocaine, you do it once, you want to keep doing it to get that same high, and you keep going until you... So we do that with our emotions. This feels good. I'm going to go do this more. And then keep doing it more and more and more. And you don't get it. And you get angry when you don't get it. And then you keep trying to get it anyway. It's like, going to a store to get something that they don't have at all. And you keep getting disappointed and angry. But you keep going and going and going to the same place.
So I'll throw you a little quick curveball here. From a Buddhist perspective, is the statement it is better to give than to receive false?
It's not false. That's an expedient teaching, an expedient principle, meaning that's just the superficial to get you deeper to realize that giving and receiving, it's not that they don't exist. It's just that when you extend outward in a way that empowers or in a way that is beneficial for others, it lets you know that you have that inside. You have what you are extending out, or you can't be doing that. So whatever you're giving to other people, you already are having. That's the only way you can give.
Yeah, and I think some of the Taoist teachers too, they essentially say that there's really nothing to get. It's more about getting rid of stuff, right? Rather than it's more about how do I phrase this? But more about getting rid of things than accumulating things, right? And people often, when it comes to cultivation, they think it's the opposite. I've got to accumulate more chi, I've got to accumulate more power, I've got to accumulate more martial prowess. When in fact maybe they should be looking at, unloading some of that stuff, right?
I have in the past quoted Master Cheng Man-ching when he said, invest in loss.
Yes, I've heard
Invest
that
in
before.
loss. Going up a mountain, you're carrying a duffel bag full of food, and pots and pans to cook your food. You go up the mountain, it's heavy, but every time you take a little bit out of your bag and you eat it, and you throw it in the garbage bale, you don't carry your waste with you, then your load gets lighter. But if we keep everything that we're using on our path and try to hold on to it, then the going in our path is just heavy. It's not
So,
easy. We hold
like,
on to everything, and it just makes things much more difficult.
so I guess like reciprocation too. Like, how does karma play into that?
Oh man.
In 3 sentences or less.
Excuse me. What you give or what you do, what you think, what you say, and what you experience will give out um, will give out a vibration of that thing, and it will attract more of that. And it will also attract that which wants more of that. So further, our thoughts and our feelings about the things we experience will empower that cycle of getting the things we've always gotten.
Would the opposite be true as well?
Which is the opposite, because I would have to rewind this video to
Well,
listen what I just said.
like getting rid of stuff, would that attract like getting
Well,
I don't
it's like having a house full of furniture, and now you get rid of a couch, you get rid of the table, and things become empty. And then when they come to a point where it's pretty much just walls and floor and windows and doors and a bathroom, you may want to make it look different and pretty. So you start accumulating a little bit more. Okay. And then you go through the process again and again. So in the process of letting go, for most, it may be a letting go and then putting back other things, other things in the place of the things that are thrown away, which just creates a cycle again. The other aspect is when you're letting go, what is being put back actually was never taken away.
You want to elaborate on that one?
No. Kidding. You see, when you are cultivating for the manner of letting out, letting go, getting away from the attachments, the things that are holding you down, okay, our emotions and our viewpoints and our notions and whatnot, we let go of those things. We start to see something. We start to experience a new type of life, and I put that in quotes. And that new type of life really isn't something that you're gaining. It's just that it's been there already. We've just been
Blinded.
uh, entertaining other things. You can say diluted even
Yeah,
by
I
everything
suppose.
else, because what has been there is really so obvious, but it's so much right in front of our faces that we just miss it. And how is that even possible? Because it doesn't have a shape, a form, it doesn't have any type of specific feeling to it. There is no marker to it that says this is it, because it cannot be grasped.
So okay, like going back to giving and whatnot, when you give something, it almost, I know it sounds very cliche, but when you make somebody else happy, it does make you feel happy inside. So it's almost like you're giving, but you're getting back at the same time, right?
Yes, and a lot of people have this problem. Well, if I feel happy, isn't that selfish? Jeez, come on, man. Give yourself a break here and there. Like I'm happy that when I do something for other people, I see them enjoying themselves. Okay? And from my hard work, they feel benefit. So I feel the happiness. I don't sit there dancing and going, yay, I did all these wonderful things for you. That's why you're so happy. Right? I don't go doing that because now that just takes away everything. I just
Mm.
sit there going, okay, great. I know I did this and they get something. Cool. there's nothing else really left to do. There's nothing to do at that point anymore about it because it's done. You see, when you do for others, you are doing for yourself. And why is it that you are doing for yourself? Because overall, that stuff, the glue that binds us all together, is really the same thing within everybody. The air, the energy, the vibrations, the emotions, the thoughts, all these things that people think make themselves a self that they attach to and create and make and just identify with, that inner substance is the same. It's just manifested in our thoughts in a myriad different ways. So when I sit there and go, I hope Oolong has a wonderful day, you know what? I'm going to concentrate on him and send him some good vibes, right? Send him some good thoughts. Basically, most people would say, sending each other love and light and happiness. Sure, we can say those words too, because it doesn't matter. You call it, I'm sending him thoughts of coffee, happy, happy coffee thoughts. You know, caffeine rush. I'm going to send him the happiness of my caffeine rush. But it's just love and light, right? We can just say that. So I'm sending it to you. Whether or not you get it, it's not that there's a whether or not he gets it, I'm happy because I'm doing this. The fact is that it's being done. And why is it that the other person can get it? Because it's not that the other person is individually solely just a body and a soul that is just confined to this body and is totally separate and hopefully they get it. No. We are all vibrating in the same pool of energy, and that energy is all pervasive. I'm just going to use the word energy just for the sake of this topic or point. Okay, it's all pervasive. So for instance, if I just feel like I want to call my father right now, he will call me. Why? Because that's just the way it is. When I have a vision of me talking to my father, he'll give me a call. Before beginning our recording, maybe 20 minutes before, I was like, yeah, maybe I should call my father. In about a minute, he starts sending me text messages and calling me. Or I want to call my friend. I get an email from them instead. Okay, so we are all connected, and there's no reason to even have to emphasize connection because it is just that way. To say connected means there is a disconnect. So when I do for someone, it is doing for me because it's empowering the manifestation, the expedient of goodness. It's empowering the seeds that take the substance that is within everyone and all pervading in every direction and everything, and just empowers that in one specific place. And when you do that, it attracts to you that thing. And then when you have more of that force, you can put it out for everyone even more. Concentrated wise.
Okay, so why do people have such a problem like giving, and why do they why does when I first started I said it was sort of a cliche. Why has it become a cliche and sort of looked down upon to give to people, and why do we have these false views about it?
Well, because people attach to the things that are entertaining for them, things that pleasure them, whether it's movies, music, people, themselves, books, computers, anything that gives you a sense of a purpose, a goal, and empowers your views about yourself. Those things most people don't want to give away. Okay? And it's in that attachment that we create more views of selfishness. It just pops up that way. You know? Do you ever see children playing with their toys and they have a friend come over or whatnot that wants to play with the toys? And it's my toy because they identified with it. They've kept it around them for so long that they feel that if someone takes that toy, they will lose a part of them. They don't know it that way, but you can see it in them that they feel missing. Something is missing. That means they already have attached to that thing. And I noticed this with my son. When other kids have their toys, he doesn't go to touch their toys. He'll walk up to them and he'll smile and he'll look and watch them and see if he can play with the toys. And sometimes the kids share, which is nice. Sharing is caring. but he'll want to go outside and he has to take some toys with him because he wants to look for people to give those toys to play with. He runs downstairs with toy, and he takes his dinosaurs and he takes his Ninja Turtles and his robots and he runs downstairs, and then he's standing around when the kids aren't outside and he's screaming in Chinese, "Friends, where are you? Come out, come out." And he's joking around because he looks at me smiling. He knows no one's going to hear him, but he's just doing it, and he's smiling, doing it, smiling. And he wants to give these toys to kids to play with, but one time a kid took a toy and wouldn't give it back to him. So he was like, "Ooh, what's that about?" It was new for him. He didn't know how to compute this. So he was walking to the person saying, "Toy, toy, toy," trying to take his toy. And the kid would run away. And he just stood there and he looked at his mother and he's like, "Toy," and he's making a frown face. And she goes to the kid, "Can he have the toy back? Give it to him." And he says, "No." He says, "Well, will you give it to me?" And the kid gave it to the mother, and she gave it back to my son. So he didn't catch the idea of, "It's mine, you must give it to me, give it back," and push and pull and scream and yell. He just sat there going, "Whoa, that's so weird." The confusion was obvious. But when I notice on a lot of kids, the confusion becomes a safety net. They have to sit in that confusion. Well, they don't know, they don't understand it, and they sit there going, it's mine, give it back." Because they feel empowered by the things they have, because that's what makes them attractive to other people.
That just goes to show, too, how we're sort of, I don't know, again, how to say it, but we're sort of indoctrinated, or we kind of develop these false views as we mature. I think I watched a show recently that talked about children and how, like, when they're younger, if you gave them, like, 10 Smarties, they would kind of divide them up and share them. But then as the kids start to get older, they kind of scheme on how to get more than the other person. It's sad, but I think that's sort of the way that our minds program us, or society programs us.
Well, we're taught the more we have, the better person we are. We're cooler, we're more respected. Then when we get old, when we're children, it's, "I have candy. Let's hang out with that kid who has candy." So they all want to hang out with the kid who has candy and gets to eat a little bit here and there. And then the kid who has all the candy sits there and go, "Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit, and I'm going to have a little bit more because it's mine, so I should have more." And everyone looks up to that kid because he has something. So that kid feels empowered. And then when he gets a little older, it's, "I have the video games, come hang out at my house and play. I have the new shoes, come and hang out with me because I'm cool, and if you stay with me." They don't say this, but that's the essence you feel. This kid is so cool. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's just the way he dresses, the way he looks, he's so cool. And they give the person that kind of ambience, demeanor. It's empty. That kid doesn't have it, but the children give it to each other. And then when we get a little bit older, then it becomes money. How much do we have means how much we're respected.
Or women.
Yeah. Then we get to the women part for men. It's having, how much women have you been with? How many women have you taken out? You're pretty cool, and I should trust your ideas about women because you've been around them and you've communicated with them and whatnot with them for ages. So yeah, and then it's on the women. How much can you get from the guy? Yeah, hey, I just put down guys saying they sleep around with women. Okay, I just just said, hey, guys, go sleep around with women, and then I gotta be equal. Come on, I'm gonna get the womenizers. I'm gonna get the what do you call them? The group of women the women rights movement people
the feminists.
That's it. He's going to scream at me now. Hey, I'm not wearing a shirt with women on it, so don't go yelling at me, okay? Jeez. But yeah, hey, there's groups of women who empower each other by how much they can get from their significant other. Okay, I got a guy with a Porsche. I got a guy with a Ferrari. I got a guy with 5 houses. I've got a guy who has millions, and I get whatever I want from him. I got a guy who's married, and he got me an apartment anyway, and he sees me on the weekend. So people like that. I mean, there's TV shows with that, and it teaches people how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, this is how we run our own personal lives. And we empower that within each other by living that way and believing that it's good.
So what about if you're in a situation where you're giving and giving and giving, and somebody just wants to take, they don't want to reciprocate, they just, seems almost like a parasitical type relationship. And again, you're probably going to nail me to the cross for even saying that or having that view, but go ahead.
I'm getting the sign INRI ready right now.
INR. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm nailed right in. I mean, I'm kidding. Well, when you start to feel like you have been taken for fool, I'm kidding. You start to feel like you're being sucked dry. That feeling of being drained. It's an alarm sign saying that there is something in you, in your mind, in your whole entire view of a self, that feels unsatisfied, unfulfilled, or not reciprocated. And the reason why we feel that way is because we have views of a self. Doesn't mean everyone should take each other for granted. No, it just means that when you start to see a pattern of a person depending on you and purposely wanting you to be around, it becomes a control situation where that person has to find a ways to get you to do for them what they can do for themselves. And sometimes people get sucked right into that and feel empowered because other people need them. And it comes down to a point where that bliss feeling of being a savior for everyone starts to go away and you feel tired and angry. Okay, it's the greed. Well, I need for myself now. Okay, you're just taking, you're not giving to me. You got to give back. When it's conscious, when you know that this is what's happening, you either entertain the idea of, hey, you know what? You should be doing this too because I do this. As a way of letting the other person know, hey, it's not that I really need something from you. It's just that we should be working together. Okay, and if it becomes an issue where the energy of the person starts to wane, get out of the situation right away.
Yeah, it's funny because I was mostly thinking of the person on the taking end, but you raised a good point. There are other people on the other end of the spectrum that are stuck in the giving, and that empowers them too. But you don't usually think of them being egotistical or doing it for egotistical reasons. But I guess in some cases, yeah, that can be the case, right?
Yeah. I mean, a person wanting from another without giving to that person is just being lazy and feels perhaps that they are entitled or they have the ability to get from others, so why not use it? Why not get other people to do for them? Then on the other hand, you have the people who end up being taken from, and I'll just use that word, taken. You have people around them who are trying to get from them, and they are entertaining it, giving and giving and giving and keep giving to a point where they feel they can't give anymore because there's nothing left. That means that the taking was abusive. It was hurtful. In what way was it abusive and hurtful? It was abusive and hurtful because there was no acknowledgement of what the other person was giving. Just a thank you, or a very heartfelt, or just a simple acknowledgement of this is the complexity of the situation. Okay, it makes things feel a lot better. It can become very unhealthy, though, when there's only a take on one end and there's no return. It's not that there is taking away from one place. In one hand, it is a sense of taking away from one place. But
go ahead.
Yes.
Well,
But truthfully, though there is a sense of taking from one place, there is a belief that the person who is giving, okay, believes that there is nothing left to give. So it becomes this double-edged black hole. Taking, giving. The black hole is in the giving, and the black hole is in the taking.
Okay, I was just going to say maybe some people might get stuck in the false notion that say I give you $10, you expect $10 in return, but maybe like I give you $10 and then you bake me a cake, or you know what I mean? Like you get,
Hmm.
sometimes maybe we should recognize that reciprocation can be returned in different ways. If that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes, usually we assume it must be in the same way, and we value what it is that we do. So here we go. The money situation. Give you 10, I value that 10. I should have 10 back in dollars, not in cookies. Okay, not in a cup of coffee. But there is a culture on this planet that does that. That is, takes one specific thing but gives something totally different, and it's just acknowledge that something totally different is repayment for the thing that was before.
Yeah, and from my perspective, I think that's probably a better system, right?
It's not bad. It's simply, I borrow 5,000 from a guy, and then I'll take him with me to the place I go to use that 5,000, and then I'll pay for his transportation, food, drink, hang out with him, and then I'll pay him back his 5,000 in full. And then he'll go, but you covered the end. You covered a lot of other things on the way. You don't really have to give me the full 5,000. You go, well, it's something that should have been done anyway, so just take it. And then on the return end of that is the acknowledgement that I not only paid for him for the money with the money I borrowed from him, but though I paid it back, there was acknowledgement for that. And whenever I would need something or go someplace, he would be first to cover any expenses. I'm just giving an example.
Right, right.
So it happens that way. It may not be the full thing. It may not be exactly what you give. I give you a sword, I want a sword back. I give you a pair of shoes, I want a pair of shoes back. It's not that. It's just the
Um,
action of it being acknowledged
well,
is important.
again, I don't know how deep I should get into this because it's probably going to annoy some of the listeners. But to go back to that issue you raised earlier about, say, feminism as an example,
Mm.
it's probably going to ruffle feathers. But so if we look at that, you see some of these women in these movements, and not all of them, and every situation is different. But some of them will say, well, I did the housework, I washed the dishes, I
Oh
do,
man.
you know what I mean? They go on and create this long list of everything they do, but they don't see what the other side does, right? Maybe the husband mowed the lawn and fixed the roof, and again, it goes back to this reciprocation. Doesn't have to be one for
Hmm.
one, right? You
Right.
have to. I think you have to recognize that things don't always get returned in the exact same way that they went out. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, and when it comes into relationships, it's I'm not gonna say it's tricky, and I'm not gonna say it's complex, but people make it tricky and complex. um, it goes down to that. Look, I have this conversation with people all the time out here in China when it comes down to the household. You have a kid. If the woman stays home and takes care of the kid, and the man goes to work, and then the man comes home, and there's always the same thing of, well, I want a break. I'm taking care of the baby all day long, and you're outside, in your office. You don't have to take care of the baby. And then I hear these two people arguing. Of one point, one person says, "Well, I'm making the money," and the other person says, "Well, I'm taking care of the kid." And I asked them both, I was like, "Why did you want a kid in the first place?" And they say, "What? Well, that's what you do, right?" I was like, "No. Why did you decide to have a kid if you both can't decide who's going to do what? If one person is going to make all the money in the place and the other person is going to go and take care of the kid, then accept that. If not, don't have a child at all." I said, and I told the woman, I said, if you can get a job and make just as much as the man as your husband makes, then go and do that and let him stay home with the kid. I'm sure he'll be glad to not have to wake up early every morning, go through traffic, go to work, come back, deal with the people in his job, and then come home and listen to you. Why don't you reverse it? And you go and do all that, come home, and expect exactly expect him to do what you're expecting, and see what happens.
Or
Okay?
even just try and do it as sort of a thought experiment. I mean, people don't actually have to physically, change our whole lives around, but maybe just to sort of be mindful and think about what that would be like.
Right, because it has to be 100%, not 50-50. If a person is going to work, whether it's a man or a woman in the relationship, or both, or one is at home and one is working, well, let's say the one in the house decides not to be in the house. So whatever mess in the house was made the night before, in the morning it doesn't get cleaned, in the afternoon it doesn't get cleaned, and both end up coming home later at night to the house that was messed up the night before. So who should be doing the work? One of them has to do it, or both of them have to do it. But because, let's say just one person, a single person, a person who's single comes home and the house is a mess, they're going to have to do the work. So when they have two people, one of those two do the work or they both do the work. Why everyone has to complain about it? There's no such thing as I did more or what I did was more important. So you have to do what you expect it to be done by me. And that's what is most people's argument out here. So, and I just asked them, look, if you're not ready to just work with each other, then don't get married and don't have a kid. Why argue about these things? Just do that's what you do. But if one is at home, you just take care of the kid. That's a very important job. If you don't think it's an important job, don't have children. Just don't have children. Shut up. Just stop complaining. This is annoying. That's what I tell them. Your argument is so annoying because you make no sense. You think you make sense, but you don't make sense. Because the actual logic is, if there's a baby, someone has to educate the baby and be an example for that kid. Don't just put him in a preschool or whatever, and then go to work and expect the kid to be all happy and growing up wonderful. No, no parents are there influencing the child. So the kid's not going to grow up with the parents' influence, which is the most important influence on that kid the first 5 years. Someone got to be home with them all day long. If it's both parents, wonderful. But in a relationship, there has to be 100-100, not 50-50. It's 100%. And if one person in the relationship sees something not getting done and says, "What the hell aren't you doing it?" If you've seen it not getting done, just do it. And if you're wondering why the person just decided to leave whatever was being done alone and go somewhere else, and then you find out, they were expecting you to finish it up without telling you, and they get angry when you bring it up, well, then both people got to sit there and get their priorities straight, because simply this, if a person is doing something, finish the friggin' job. Get it done. If you weren't mindful and you left something around, don't turn around and say, well, you noticed it, just pick it up. What's wrong? Why I have to do it? Wait. You were doing it. It is your responsibility. The other person decided not to pick it up because they were unsure. Were you trying to say to them they're not doing enough? So it becomes this, it is ego. I do this. No, I do that. You should do this. No, you should do that. It becomes this ego thing, and, well, my energy is sacred, and, well, my energy is sacred. I don't want to waste my energy this way, and I don't want to waste my energy that way. So now it becomes a battle of a person's energy. We got to, like I said, get priorities straight here. If both want to sit there and say, hey, I do this much, you should give me that much, then don't get into a relationship if you don't understand that. There's no right. There's no law, and there's no personal right that says you must get this thing back.
I think a lot of the problems stem from the false notions and the false values in society, where we think, going to the office and typing on a keyboard all day, this is worth X amount, whereas, a wife at home taking care of the kids is only worth Y amount, when in fact they're, both equally valuable, or, if not, I would say the mother taking care of the kids probably a lot more valuable in many respects.
Well, yeah. Well, you have the mother taking care of the kid, which is very valuable, very important. The whole entire life right there. It could be the father taking care of the kid and the mother going to work. That's why I find that the argument of which one is more important to be a little...
It's not a feminist point. It's more like, yeah, okay.
Well, it's hard with logic, okay? I don't find the thing of being an importance to be really logical or important at all, because you have a kid, that's all you have to do is take care of that kid. Shut up and get the job done. take care of the baby. If it's the father going to work and that's the only person working, well, he has his own stresses to deal with. When it's the mother taking care of the kid, she has her own stresses to deal with. When both are home, they both have their stresses to deal with. Now they have to take care of that kid. Both of them. So both should really say, it doesn't matter what I did all day long. Now that we're in the house at the same time, we're both going to do the work. That's it. There's no, I need to take a break. You can't unless your work is done. And the work is done when the kid is eaten, or the diapers are changed, or the house is clean, and the kid is sleeping, and you can sit there, put your feet up, and go, let's watch a movie. Okay, until that time, stop complaining. Or don't have a kid. Or one of them switch positions and go get the job. Go work. Because both have their stresses. Both working and being at home have their stresses. And most people feel they're not acknowledged for the stresses they have. And some people feel one is more important than the other when they're both of equal importance. Because both support the whole entire structure.
All right, so I guess we're sort of coming near the end here. Do you have any practices you could recommend to people? Should they go out and give away all their money and clothing to get something back?
No. Basically, it is simply just asking yourself, and you can do this daily, what do I expect? What do I expect? Because no one is the center of the whole entire universe. We are the whole entire universe, we just got a little form right now. That's all. We just got a little shape to us. Nobody's more important. So what is it that we expect every day? Ask that question. What am I expecting today? Because when you realize what you expect should be done, put it in the garbage bag and throw it out the friggin' window. Just make sure you don't hit anybody on the way down. Yeah, throw it out. Because stop expecting. Stop looking to be satisfied, and stop looking to have other people fulfill you. It will not happen. We may believe it happens because we feel some type of energy or some type of emotion about whatever is being done and whatever we're experiencing, but truthfully, no. It's not going to fulfill you. Drop your expectations and just do what you know you can do. That's it. Don't expect anything. Just do what you do. And if what you do is expecting the world to owe you something, then throw that in the garbage too. Just recognize what you assume should be and let go of it. Let it go. Because you'll have to ask yourself another question. How the hell in the world do I think I need to expect this? Who told me I have to do that? Where did I get these thoughts from? It's all about self-reflection. And then you can realize reciprocation really is you just do what you do. And when people experience you doing what you do, they will do what they do. And if you don't like what they do, don't get involved with them. It's very simple. You don't have to give any attention to the people who do what you don't like. Just leave it alone and go on your way. Because you will attract what empowers you by giving out what empowers others. It just is that. You can only give what you have. You cannot give what you don't. So if you're getting morons around you, you got to think, hey, maybe I got a quality in me that is attracting this. I have to change that. And how and where. And investigate, self-reflect.
And if you give everything away and you don't get anything back, you're probably a jerk in your past life, right?
Don't. You know what? If one wants to become a monk, it's more or less, I give you whatever you want. Oh, you like my shoes? Okay, I give you my shoes. Okay, because we're happy to do that. As a left-home person, you don't need to have things because you're not relying on them. Yet at one end, you would like for people to help you out, but you're not greedy for it. You don't need it. So look, I don't have shoes. Okay. Hey, Master Xuanhua would sit at the train station knowing that he has to get on a train to go somewhere by a certain time, and he have no money on him. This is in China. And he would just sit there. Okay. Just sitting there. People go by, and 1 day, 2 days go by, and don't even give him the time of day. And then some random person just comes up and says, what do you need? And he's like, well, I'm waiting to get a ticket for the train. He goes, okay, where are you going? And he tells him where he's going. And the guy goes and buys him a ticket. Here you go. Okay, thank you. Okay, there you go. Okay, so it's if it comes, you get it. If you don't, whatever. If it don't come, okay, fine. But you do what you do, and you be the best at that by meaning you don't attach any views of grandeur, any thoughts of grandeur. Don't look for praise. Just do.
Hey, I got a
And
question.
that's it. Okay.
Was Master Zunha, was he putting out the intention to get a ticket, or was he just being totally empty? Or was
You're
he,
a funny guy.
or was he
If
being
you
totally
want-
empty?
You're so funny. If you want something and you are intending to get it, you are most likely going to push it away. The
Ah,
intent is the wanting. If you persist what you resist. If you resist what persists. What does that mean? Resisting what persists. Oh, I have no money. Oh, man, I got to get money somehow. Okay. Hey, you got some money? Hey, can you give me some change? Hey, can you give me that? You're probably not going to get as much as you're hoping for, but you're resisting what is there that you don't have. So you're letting people know, I don't have. Can you let me have? Because I want. And they will just they will continue to empower the want in you. But if you persist what is there, what most resist, then most likely you'll get what you're looking for. So Master Hua would just be, I know I have to go to a place, and I usually would need to take a train to get there. I'm just going to go to the train station. And he just go to the train station. I have to go where I have to go. I'm just going to go to a train station. Okay, I get a ticket. There you go. Someone just comes. Why? Because he's in a train station. Obviously, he has to go somewhere, and someone sees that in him. Someone sees, oh, you must be needing to go somewhere, obviously, because you're in a damn train station. So where are you going? I'm going in such and such place. All right. Do you need a ticket? I don't have a ticket. Okay, here's your ticket. He's not saying, can you give me a ticket? Because when you're a cultivator and you need, the need is a necessity. It's not a need out of greed. It's not a need of I want. It's a need of saying, this must be done. And there are certain aspects within the process of getting it done that are to be in place. Therefore, as a cultivator of Buddhist teachings, or the cultivator of things that empower wisdom, or help one to realize wisdom, if you follow the proper way of doing things, what you ask for will come.
worst case scenario, a bodhisattva will see you sitting at the train station for a couple years and take pity on you, hopefully.
Pretty much. Yeah, like it may take you 2 or 3 years to get that greed out of your heart, and he just comes over on the day you say, fuck it, I can't take it anymore. And he comes over, here you go. You go, what the hell, man? What's up with that? So really it's you got to let go of the greed, the heart of greed. You got to let go of that. Let go of the greedy heart. And just be there. Okay? It's not that, okay, you know what? I'm not going to need money today. I'm just going to go to McDonald's and wait until someone buys me a hamburger. It doesn't mean that. Okay, it's not that. I give everyone a story real quick, and then I guess we got to cut it off. Back in 2001, I started renting my own place and lived on my own. And I think I was living on $5 a week, because most of the money I made had to go for my bills and go to travel to go to work. So I was making very little money, and I needed to wash my clothes, and I think I only had $6 on me at all, just $6 altogether. I was like, well, that's not enough because I'll need an extra $4 to dry my clothes. Okay, so I have this big laundry bag on my shoulder, and I'm walking down the street, and I look and I say, you know what? I look on the ground because I'm holding this bag, so I put my head down because it's a little heavy, and I see a $10 bill on the floor. And I stop, and I look, and I said, holy crap. And so I said, holy crap. So I look around, I say, all right, whatever. And I walk away. I don't even pick it up. I put my clothes in the laundry anyway, and I go to wash my clothes. I say, if they're going to be wet, I'll just take them home and hang them up somewhere in my house somehow. I'll make lines, strings across my living room and just hang them up. I come out of the laundry room, the laundromat, and the $10 is still there. I think it was after 15 minutes. And I look around and nobody's around. So I pick up the $10 and I go and use it. And I
Why
was
didn't you
able to dry my clothes.
Why didn't you pick it up the first time?
Because it wasn't mine. And it
Yeah.
wasn't mine afterwards, but it was just, I knew I needed the money because I wanted to wash my clothes. And I knew the money would help me to wash the clothes. But it just didn't, I was like, no, you know what? Someone's going to come back for their $10. And that was it. And I was thinking when I came back, I said, no one's here. And I was like, it's windy. Why isn't this $10 flying away? No, it wasn't stuck to gum. I'm like, why is that flying away? It's pretty windy today. And I just looked. I think I had a conversation with myself for about 10 seconds looking at this $10 bill on the floor. And wind was blowing pretty hard. It should have been flying away. So I just picked it up and said, you're not flying away. I'm keeping you. I said, thank you. I said, thank you. I just looked up at the sky. I looked around me, looked at the ground. I said, okay, thank you so much. I have $10 that I can finish washing my clothes with and get some breakfast today. That's how it was for me in the beginning, moving out on my own. So I needed money. It wasn't greed. It was obvious. And that's how it came. And how did I have to reciprocate? How did I have to give? Well, it seemed to have come out of nowhere. Someone must have dropped it. No one came back looking for it. The wind was blowing and blowing, and it didn't blow away. Okay. And that doesn't mean it was meant for me, but because I was there and this condition, I took it. And then afterwards, when I had an extra $4 or $5, one of my friends came over. There was one of my students came over, and I bought him some lunch with me. I think we had Oh, I do remember. Yeah, it was a tea and some small piece of bread. Okay,
Living
so I
large.
just take that and I take it and then give it back out because it's not yours. None of the money we get is ours anyway. It's just a manifestation of what we do. But like the exchange, the idea we put exchange to, it comes in the form of money, and that's what we utilize it for. But if anyone thinks that it is theirs, they're wrong.
All
It is
right, well,
temporary.
some interesting stories. We'll have to leave it on that note.
Fun.
All right. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone, for listening to Expedient Means with Lynn A. Way on Tom Monk Radio. Please be
Thank you.
sure to join us next week as we discuss mindfulness. And thank you, Lynn.